This is going to be my coverage of the first league race at City Kartplex. This is going to be the 2025 Spring League. I will be covering it in the order of qualifying first, and then the first heat race, and then the final race. The format is that wherever you qualify, that's where you start the first race, and then wherever you finish in the first race, that is where you will start the final race. Here in qualifying, nothing much really happened. I was able to sit there and get used to the kart because actually in the league, they have a minimum weight requirement of 180 in the lightweight division, so I was actually running about 40 pounds of weight on my kart here. So I was really just getting used to it and feeling that out. Getting into qualifying here at the start of the session, I'd run into just a little bit of traffic, so I ended up cooking the turn a little bit. I go a little bit wide here, just so I can get a good run down the straight and have a nice stab at the next lap. And I actually ended up getting way more overspeed than I was expecting here. You can see me just rocket the inside of these two, and this had actually convinced me that I had just an absolute blistering fast part. I had a lot of confidence throughout the rest of the session, so I really started pushing the kart. And actually, as I headed in to the results screen and got a look at the TV, I ended up being 6/10 clear of the field. And I really was convinced that I went out there and I was going to dominate the session. And as you can see at the start of the next heat here, I actually ended up starting in 4th position. So I'm starting the race here in 4th on the outside, and I'm looking to just, make up as many positions as I can so I can have a good start in the final of the race. So we get a rolling start here, the green flag flies, the light turns on, and I get a pretty good reaction time. The leader on the inside is desperately asking for a draft as we get a better start on the outside. I hang it on here, making it past 3rd pretty easily. Trying to follow 2nd through the corner here. I'm able to completely make it past 3rd here, and then follow these two onto the, I call this the back straight. It's not really a straight, there's a bus stop, but it's more of a back straight. So through turn 8 here, I'm able to get a great run coming out, and into turn 9, looking to go onto the oval. So I line up behind these two again. I go to the outside just so I don't ruin my run that I had. I keep the RPMs nice and heavy, and then I'm actually a little bit late getting to the inside. I'm able to just nudge my bumper in there by about an inch on P2. So I took in the draft. I ducked down to reduce the drag a little bit more, and then through turn 1, I'm actually able to secure the pass. Turn 2, I'm not really contested, and I actually get a bit of a sneaky move on P1 too. I'm trying to hang it on his outside through turn 3 here. I have to tuck in on the back straight, but once I get through the bus stop here, I'm pretty much just going to secure the pass on P2. And yep, there I am into P2. And then absolute send on P1 here. This one was a little bit ambitious, but I just wanted to scare him and let him know that, hey, it's not going to be easy to hold this position. That might not have been the best idea, because coming into turn 9 here, I knew it was going to be a bit sketcy, and I tried to shuffle him behind, but I was able to just not tuck in, and unfortunately I get forced wide on the track. I'll tuck in the draft here, and I'll get a great run going into 1 and 2, and I can try again on the next lap, but definitely not ideal, not what I was looking for in this situation. Through turn 1 and 2 here, I'm just taking the racing line, trying to make up some lost ground on these guys. And turn 2, I actually make a lot of lost ground, and I secure the outside against P2 and P3 at the same time. I'm hanging around the outside on P3, they get into it in front of me, and I actually send it 3 wide into the bus stop here. Absolutely just blew my way, 2 wheels on the grass, and make the pass on P3 because of it. Follow P2 into turn 8 here, get a little bit better of a run, but P3 is actually done the switchback, and he's around my outside here, so I gotta go 2 wide through turn 8, secure the pass again on P3, and tuck in for the draft. Now I did have a poor run there, so it took me a couple of laps to get back onto P2 here and begin setting up moves again, but as you can see, I've closed up again, and I'm going in for the draft, coming through turn 2 here, and just looking to close up the gap a little bit more. My racing line has gotten pretty good at this point in the night. I'm feeling pretty confident with the extra weight in the kart, and I've actually made a lot of changes through turn 1 and 2, and I feel like I've gained a lot of time throughout the night. And you can see here on the back straight, I've actually already closed up on P2, so I'm going for a move up the inside, and for some reason he waves me through. Still confused on why he does that. I actually don't know him, and he went for the switchback even though he waved me through. So maybe he was just looking for the draft on the main straight so that he could get an easy pass back. Maybe he was playing some mind games, or maybe he just didn't feel like it. But I secured the pass on P2 because of that, and then a couple laps later here, I'm tracking down P1, following through turn 8, trying to set myself up for a great run down the main straight, and yeah, I've set myself up for a good run here, so I'm going to close up for him on the draft. duck action going on. Falling in through turn 1 here, and then through turn 2. He's been slow in turn 2 all night, so I know I'm probably going to close up on him. Not quite as much as I was looking to, but through turn 3 here, I'm able to gain just a little bit more revs. And even though he gained distance on me, you'll see here by the end of the back stretch that I'm close back up on him again. So I tuck in, and then I go out, and I actually go for the same move that I went for just a couple laps ago. It was pretty identical with me dragging my wheels over the curve. I'm able to get alongside him and took it on the outside of turn 9 here, but unfortunately I'm not able to go anywhere with it. I probably should have kept a couple more revs in the engine there, and I could have held on and taken the position. But I took back in, and I'm just ready to try it again on the next side. I'm focused on turn 1 and 2 here because he's been weak there all night, so I'm looking to go a little bit wide here and get some overspeed into turn 2, but he actually just nails it this time and gains a little bit of distance on me. I get a little bit better of a run out of the corner and a better run into turn 3 here, and he actually just completely goofs the corner and goes a bit wide, and I'm able to secure the pass there. And then for the rest of the race, I'm just focused on keeping my lead here. You can see here I'm fast forwarded to the final lap. I pulled out a gap of probably about 3 or 4 seconds by the end. So once I did get out in front and I was able to clear my head and get some clean air, I was able to lay down some pretty good lap times and just focus on keeping my lead. P2 actually fell back into P3 and they started battling a bit, so that made it a lot easier on my end, and I was just able to focus on staying out in front and keeping composure. After winning that first heat, it allowed me to start the final race in pole position, so you can see me here taking the out lap to line up first in the grid. I'm just really focused on getting my tires warmed up and cleaned off. We get a lot of off tracks here, a lot of dirt on the tires, so I like to make sure that they're scrubbed nice and clean. You can see I pulled a little bit of a gap on the field, so I'm just slowing up here on the back straight to let them catch up a little bit before I go back into my routine. I'm just going to fast forward throughout the rest of this lap and get us over to the grid start. Lining up on the grid here, my buddy outside goes for a fist bump, so I go ahead and of course I reciprocate that. And I'm just collecting all my nerves together and getting ready to come around the last turn here and look for the green flag. So tower's in the point of view. I'm going ahead and looking because they have dropped it pretty early a couple times tonight. So boom, there we go, and it is off. I got a pretty good reaction off the start, but on the outside he actually is just, I don't know if it was a faster car or if he had a fantastic reaction, but he did catch me by the end of the straight. So I hang it through the inside of 1 and the outside of 2, and I'm able to keep my position, keep my composure here, and then take mostly the racing line through turn 3. My car understeers pretty wide. I'm really worried, but luckily they were into each other a little bit behind me there. And that is actually the lead secured for the first couple of laps because they get into battling each other behind me. So I'm going to fast forward to a point where we get a little bit more action going on. And then here in this clip I had just a miserable run through turn 8, so he was able to just fly past me on the inside. It was really just a mistake on my part, and I guess that's a little bit of a payback for the mistake this same guy had in the previous heat, which allowed me to take the win there. Here I'm looking to just tuck back in the draft and minimize the damage done. Looking for maybe another passing opportunity in turns 1, 2, and 3. I know that's where a lot of the passing comes from on this track, or at least seems to. But through turn 2 he's able to pull out a little bit more distance here, and then I've unfortunately cooked turn 3 a little bit myself, and he pulls out an even bigger gap. So I look behind me here and I notice I'm going to be under pressure going into the back turn 8 here, and this is really the point where things just started to fall apart for me, and it was not looking good. I was at this point where I became a little bit suspicious of the pace that I had in my kart, but honestly looking back at the lap times and what I was able to do at the peak performance, my kart wasn't really too down. I just let myself get a little bit too beat up and unfortunately just lost my composure in the race. The next lap I was able to really confirm that my struggle on pace was real, as P3 had closed up on me, and then he was able to show a nose through turn 3 there. So at this point I'm fully focused on damage control. I'm not really looking for a move on the guy in front of me. I'm looking on defense on the guy behind and trying not to fall too far back, because I would still like a chance at winning the race, but I don't think it's looking great at this point. And little did I know, I hadn't seen the worst of it yet. On the very next lap here, I fast forward to turn 3, and you can see P3 behind me is able to show the nose again, and then unfortunately it just doesn't leave me any room on the exit. And I'm forced to run through the grass there, and I lose 2 positions at the same time, along with about half a second lap time going down the back straight. Definitely upset there, and then through turn 8, I'm able to get a great run and offer a little bit more resistance. And I really shouldn't have went through this 3 wide move, because all it did is cost us both a lot of time, and I really did it out of just frustration. So at this point, I've come to my senses a little bit. I tuck back in the draft, and I'm focused on just trying to recuperate the rest of the race, but unfortunately not much is able to come from it, as that move really kind of sealed the deal for the rest of the race. You can see how far back I've fallen for P1 and then even P2 as well, and unfortunately I'm just not able to unlock enough pace in the kart. So on this lap here, the guy in front actually gains a little bit of time on me, and then throughout the rest of the race I'm just carving into him by about 0.05 a lap. I mean, I'm not gaining enough to make any meaningful progress, and I'm not really losing anything either. I'm just following him around for the rest of the race, and there's nothing I can do. Unfortunately, I was just out there thinking a lot about what happened, and really disappointed in the showing time. The next lap, I am able to just get a little bit of a move cooking. I pull out of the draft here, I get one wheel alongside before I get to the apex, but around the outside, he's able to just carry so much more momentum, and you can see there, it looks like he's just in a different kart class as he takes off. And I took into the draft once again, but unfortunately that is the last chance I'm going to get at making an overtake or being anywhere near anyone for the rest of the race. So it was at this point where, like I said in the previous clip, we kind of got into that stalemate of just not being able to gain any time on him or not really losing any time. I just follow him around for the rest of the race. Now this is going to be the last lap, just uncut, so that you guys can see the finish and kind of how hard I was pushing trying to gain a little bit of position back on this guy. You can see him making a mistake there coming onto the mean straight coming out of the oval corner, so you could definitely tell he was under pressure, but unfortunately nothing I was able to do with it.